So in the previous videos we have solved problems related to continuous beam. So from this video onwards we start solving the frames, which are basically non-sway frames. We will not deal with the sway frames. So the sway frames using the Kani's method. Okay, so this is one of the frame. As you can see, this is a two-storied frame. So this is your first story, this is your second story. So the first story will have two columns and one beam. Similarly, the second story will also have two columns and one beam, right? So this is the frame we have. So let us try to analyze whether this frame will sway or not. So I told you there are conditions from which you could be able to determine whether the frame is going to sway or not. The first condition is to observe whether there is a horizontal force. So as you can see on the, if you observe both the stories, there is no horizontal force being exerted or being applied on this frame. So henceforth there is no sway in the first condition, according to the first condition. Okay, next condition is to see whether the loads are symmetrically distributed or not. Okay, so going with the UDL always distributes symmetrically, so that's why we have a symmetrical load on the beam CD. Next, going to beam BE, which is this beam, and this beam is subjected to concentrated load of 30 kN and 30 kN, which is same magnitude. And if you observe the distance also, it is 2 meters from the left and it is 2 meters from the right. So these two are concentrated loads are loaded in a way that they behave symmetrically, right? So it's a symmetrical loading in the case of beam BE also. It means what? If you look at the overall frame, the load is distributed evenly or the load is distributed symmetrically. Henceforth there is no chance of sway because of unsymmetric loading. Okay, now let us look at the length of the columns. If there is a difference in the length of the columns, if it is unsymmetric in nature, so what will happen? This may sway, right? So looking at the column length, so the column length CB and DE are same. Column length BA and EF should remain same. So if you can see, the length of all the columns is 3 meters itself. So it means what? Again, there is no case of sway because of asymmetric length. Okay, now going with the section. So if you observe the section of columns, the section of all the columns is I itself. So it means what? There is no variation in the section also. So again, this will not sway. Lastly, we must look at the support conditions we have. So if the support condition of A and F were different, then there would have been a sway. Now you can see A and F both are symmetric in nature, both are same. Here it's a fixed support at A and at F also it's a fixed support, henceforth this frame will not sway. Okay, so I have applied all the condition. The first condition is to look whether there is a horizontal force or not. Next condition is to look whether there is unsymmetrical loading or not. The third condition is to look whether there is unsymmetry with respect to length. Fourth would be to see whether there is unsymmetry with respect to the section, and the last one will be to see whether there is unsymmetric support or not. So we have looked into all these 5 conditions, and from this we have understood that this frame will not sway. Okay, so this frame should be analyzed as a non-sway frame. We cannot analyze it as sway frame. Okay, right. So next thing what you do is that you solve the fixed end moments. I have solved the fixed end moments for MFCD, MFDC, MFBE and MFEB. As you know, the columns are now subjected to any load, so henceforth there is no fixed end moment in the columns. So in the two beams I have solved how much is the fixed end moment. So once you solve the fixed end moment, now what you do is that you analyze this frame with respect to its kinematic indeterminacy. For a long time I have not spoken about kinematic indeterminacy in all the previous videos also. So we will try to discuss here, because when you see this frame, you can observe the kinematic indeterminacies. Let us go to the supports. Support A and F, they are fixed, so there is no rotation or translation. Okay, as I told you, there is no sway at all, so forget about the translation in the horizontal direction. Okay, now going to B, C, D, E, they are all internal joints. Internal joints are supposed to undergo the rotation, right? So there are 4 rotations now, right? So in your syllabus they have given you that you need to solve the frames, or you need to analyze the structures which are less than 3 kinematic indeterminacy, right? So according to this problem we have 4 kinematic indeterminacy. So you might think that such kind of problems may not be asked in your problem in your question paper. No, there is a little catch here. So what we need to understand here is, in Carney's method, whenever we find a symmetric frame, we can simplify this given problem. Okay, we can simplify this given frame while analyzing. So what we can do is that we can take a section. So we need to take the section exactly at the axis of symmetry or exactly at the center. Okay, so if this is your length of the beam, which is 6 meter, exactly at the left of 3 meter and or right of 3 meter, we need to draw a line. Okay, so this will create a section. Okay, so this will separate the two symmetrical parts of the frame. Okay, so this is the first part I'll take. Okay, if I analyze this, whatever the values I get in this part will be replicated to the other side by changing the symbol. That's it. Okay, right. Now first what we'll do is we'll cut this section. Okay, we'll cut this frame exactly at this section. This section acts at a axis of symmetry. Okay, now I'll take this part, I'll modify this. Okay, now this D was there, I'll call the section at this point, I'll call it as D dash. Okay, so this point where I have cut, I'll call it as D dash, and this point where I have cut for beam B, I'll call it as B dash. So I'll take this frame, I'll write like this. Okay, so now this becomes my modified frame, and I'll try to analyze this frame, and whatever the observations that I see, whatever the moments values that I get, I'm going to replicate on the other side by changing the symbol. Okay, I'll explain that later. Okay, anyway, so what you need to do whenever you see a frame which is symmetrical in nature, if you want to simplify the analysis of that frame, what you need to do is to cut that frame exactly at the axis of symmetry, and then you have to take that frame and you need to solve it. Okay, right. So we have solved the fixed end moment. The next thing is to solve the stiffness values. Okay, if you solve the stiffness value, you could be able to solve the rotation factors, right? So we know the joint B and joint C are connected by 3 members and 2 members respectively. So joint B is connected by BA, BC and BE dash, right? So next joint C is connected by CB and CD dash, right? So we'll solve the kinematic indeterminacies, stiffness values. So what is the stiffness value of BA? BA, where I value for BA is I, and length of the member BA is 3 meter, so it is I by 3. Similarly for BC also it is I by 3. When you go for BE, you have to remember this. Okay, when you go to B, what is B? B is the modified element. Actual length of the member is BE, but we are reduced it to BE dash. So what is the length of member BE dash? So BE dash length is 3 meter. Okay, so what we'll do here is we will take it as half of whatever the stiffness value of BE was. So what is the value of BE? If I find out what is the stiffness of BE, it will be 4I divided by 6. Okay, so we have to multiply half of that. Okay, remember this. So whenever you want to find the stiffness for a modified element in the frame, so what you do is that you multiply the stiffness factor with the half of it. Okay, so half multiplied by stiffness value of the original member, which is BE. Okay, this member. So 4 by 6, 4I divided by 6 multiplied by half will give you the stiffness of BE dash. Okay, next going to CB. Now joint C we need to go and we'll find out how much is the stiffness of CB. So this is your CB, which is the value of I is I here, and length of the member CB is 3 meter, so I by 3. Okay, now going to member CD. Okay, so we need to calculate how much is the stiffness of CD dash. For this, what we do again we'll do half of 4I divided by 6. Okay, so what is the I value of CD? It is 4I divided by 6 multiplied by half will give you again the stiffness value of CD dash. So we have calculated CD dash. Okay, now once you calculate the stiffness values of all the members, what you do is that you take the sum of the stiffnesses of all the members in any individual joints. So we'll take the sum of this, and we'll write down how much is the stiffness of B and stiffness of C. So once you calculate how much is the joint stiffness of B and C, next is to calculate the rotation factor. So the stiffness of individual element divided by the joint stiffness multiplied by minus 0.5 will give you the rotation factors. So these are the rotation factors which I have determined. The next step would be to solve the values of end moments. So let us solve the end moments using the Carney's method. So as we know, there are two joints which are connected by more than one member, which is joint B and joint C. So we have also solved the stiffness values and also the rotation factors for joint B and joint C. So we'll write down first the rotation factor for all the members for joint B and joint C, then we'll write the fixed end moments. Okay, after that I'll tell you how to calculate the rotation moments, right? So first let us go for joint C. At joint C we calculated how much is the rotation factor for CB and CD, okay, so which is minus 0.25 minus 0.25. Now similarly for B, at joint B we have calculated the rotation factor for BA, BE and BC. I have written them in the respective directions. Okay, I hope it is very much clear. So once you write the rotation factor, the next thing is to write all the fixed end moments. So see here, what I have done is whatever the values which are written in red ink represents the fixed end moments. Okay, the values which are written in blue ink are representing the rotation moments at the near end, and the values which are written in the black ink represents the rotation moment at the far end. Okay, I hope this is very much clear. So as we know, the fixed end moments for AB, BA is 0, BC and CB is also 0. So we need to calculate, we have also calculated what is the fixed end moment for BE and CD, which are written over here and here. Okay, now so what you need to observe here is, if I am calculating the rotation moment for CD, I'll write in this column. Okay, I have divided, as you can see, this is a black line which is separating these two values. So in this direction or in this column, I am going to write all the rotation moments of CD. Okay, so the rotation moments of CB will be written in this column. Okay, now this completes the rotation moments to be calculated for joint C. Now going to joint B. So at joint B we need to calculate the rotation moment for BA, BE and CB, BC. Okay, right. So for BA I'll write in this portion, in this column I'm going to write all the values of rotation moments. So here I'll write the BE values. So BC values are written in the upward direction over here. Okay, in this side, right? Now the first thing what we do is that we can either start from this joint or we can start from this joint, whichever joint you can start your iteration. So I thought of starting from here. Okay, so you can begin from here. Anyway, you will get the same values. Okay, there will be no difference. Okay, so if I start from here, what I do, I have to go for the equation of rotation moment. So what is the equation for rotation moment? So the equation for rotation moment would be this. I hope you all remember. So assume that I am calculating for m double dash CB. So this will be equals to UCB, which is the rotation factor for CB, multiplied by summation of MFC. MFC is representing the summation of all the fixed end moment at joint C, plus of summation of far end rotation moments. Okay, far end rotation moments may be CBC plus of M double dash CD, DC. Okay, so these are the moments which we need to determine, and from that we can calculate how much is M double dash CB. So as we know, the far end moments, the far end rotation moment for joint C will be M double dash CB, and here M double dash D dash E. Okay, anyhow we will not write any value over here, so that's why we leave this part empty. So we'll go to this joint where M double dash CB, we'll consider it to be 0. Initially we'll consider it 0. So minus 60 plus of 0 will give you minus 60 itself. So minus 60 multiplied by the respective rotation factors, we will write down our values of M double dash CB and M double dash CD. Okay, so M double dash CB is how much? 15. M double dash CD is also 15. Okay, so it is been equally shared. Okay, so once we calculate the rotation moment for CB and CD, the next thing is to calculate the rotation moment for joint B. So at joint B we are going to solve the rotation moment for BA, BE and BC. So initially we already have considered it as to be 0. Okay, now going with the rotation factors to calculate BA, BE and BC. Okay, so the first thing, minus 40. Okay, now this becomes the summation of fixed end moment at joint B. Now looking at the far end rotation moments, so the far end rotation moment for this will be m double dash cb and m double dash ab. So at m double dash ab it will be 0, and at m double dash cb it is 15. So minus 40 plus of 15 multiplied by the corresponding values of rotation moments. We'll write down the values of rotation moments. So rotation moments is for BA, BE and BC will remain same, which is 4.167, which are written. Okay. The next step, in the next step again we'll go to this joint. Again for this joint we can solve for the rotation moment. So how do you solve the rotation moment? So here minus 60, earlier it was, we considered it to be 0, now we need to consider 4.167, right? Minus 60 plus of 4.167 multiplied by the respective values, we'll write down our moment values, which is 13.95, 13.95. okay. Again we can go to the second iteration over here, minus 40 plus of 13.95 multiplied by the respective rotation factors. We'll write down the rotation moments, which is 4.34, 4.34. okay. Now if I go to the next step also, I'll get the same value of 4.34. so that's why I freezed at this point. okay. So if I solve this further, I'll get 13.91. okay, right. So you can, I told you earlier how we stop the iteration in case of Carney's method. If the variation of the preceding value with the succeeding values is in terms of decimals, we stop at that point. okay. Now once you freeze all the near end rotation moments, the next time is to find out how much is the far end rotation moments, which is the process of carryover. okay. Now we know that from BC to CB it will be carried over, from CB to BC it will be carried over. So that's why what I did, you can see here, from BC to CB it has been carried over with the same value, which is 4.34, and similarly from CB to BC it has been carried over, which is 13.91. Now similarly you don't have to carry over this side, as I told you to neglect this part. okay. Now going over here, from BA to AB it will be carried over. As you know, at AB we do not have any rotation movement, so there is no carryover, okay, which is 0 itself. okay. Now as we know, in the next step what we do, we need to calculate the end moments. So as you know, m dash ij is representing the end moments. So end moments AB, BA, BC, CB, CD dash and m B dash we are calculating. We are not calculating DC or EB. okay. We don't need to calculate because I have neglected them. okay. Now we'll write all the fixed end moments first. As we know, for column we do not have any fixed end moments, so BA and AB will be equal to 0, right? Now similarly for the column CB and BC it is 0, 0. Now going to member this one, which is m double dash CD, it is minus 60, m double dash B it is minus 40. okay. So we have written all the fixed end moments. Next what we need to write, we need to write the 2 times of near end rotation moments. So m double dash ij is representing the near end rotation moments. 2 times of near end rotation moments we need to write down. So here it is 0, which is written 0. At here it is 4.34. 4.34 should be multiplied by 2, so which is 8.68. Similarly we need to write for BC. BC also 8.68. Now going to CB. CB it is 13.91. 13.91 multiplied by 2 will give you 27.82. Similarly for CD is written. Now B is also written. okay. Now this completes the 2 times of rotation movements at near end. Now going for far end. So all the black values, all the values which are written in black ink will be your m double dash ij value. So here it is 4.34, here it will be 0, 13.91, 4.34, 0, 0. okay. If you take the sum of this, you will get to know how much is the end moment. So this is how we have solved the end moments for AB, BA, B and BC, CB and CD. okay. Okay, once we have solved the end moments of one side of the symmetry, we can solve the end moments at the other side by only replicating the values and changing its symbol. Now see, for example, if you are solving the end moments at AB, it will be positive 4.34. If I have to solve what is the end moment at FE, it will be minus 4.34. okay. Now see here, if I am solving for how much is the end moment for BA, it is 8.68. Similarly, if I am solving for the fixed end moment at, the end moment at the joint EF, it will be minus 8.68. Now see here, this is what I have done. If it is positive, if it is negative here, this side will become positive. So if it is positive here, this side will become negative. So all the values are written as it is. By only changing the directions, I have solved all the values. So this is how the symmetry works, and by taking the advantage of symmetry, we can simplify the analyzing method of our frames. okay, right. You try to solve the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram for this, and you comment below the video. Okay, thank you.